Well, the Leafs begin their first-round playoff series tonight, and they'll be taking on a familiar opponent at Scotiabank Arena. For the second straight year, the Leafs and Lightning are matched up in the opening round. The Lightning beat the Leafs in 7 games in the first round last season, but Toronto finished 13 points ahead of Tampa Bay in the Atlantic Division this season and won 2 of 3 meetings. Puck drop tonight is set for 7:30. And we spoke to former Leaf Darcy Tucker about tonight's game, and he says the Leaf team will be feeding off fans' excitement.
We love it as former players to see the fans enjoying themselves so much. I think it's special for the players too when they see the fans come out and enjoy themselves, and it kind of gives you a little extra boost, especially with us having home ice advantage here at Scotiabank Arena. It's going to be a lot of fun, not only for the fans but us former players as well. We're really pulling for our team.
We are now joined in studio by TSN radio host Matt Cauz with more on tonight's game. It's good to see you, Matt.
Yeah, good to see you as well.
It's been a long time in studio.
Better in studio than me staring at my phone, wondering, am I looking at the right corner? So I can't wait to do this.
So here we go again.
Yeah.
We've been here before.
Yes,
we were with Tampa Bay last year. Obviously, when you look at the numbers in our history, it's tough to look at. But
it's bleak.
But let's talk about this season, because, I mean, obviously, we've been playing pretty well. What do you think is the X factor in this series for the Leafs?
I think the X factor is Toronto doesn't want this series to go 7 games. Because if it gets to 7 games, then it's Andrei Vasilevsky, the best goalie in the NHL, especially in the playoffs. And he shut down the Maple Leafs last year. He shuts down most opponents in an elimination game. And I think Toronto is the better team. They've had the far better season. They're more talented. They have more depth. But if it gets to a game 7, then everyone's going to start to question, and that's when the doubt starts to creep in. So I think the key is try to end this series. Don't let it go 7 games.
And when you look at the pressure that's on these guys, I mean, we were just talking off camera. Is there any other, athletes right now in professional sports who probably have more weighing on their shoulders than some of our top line, and Matthews and Marner, given the fact that you look at the numbers, this is a team that hasn't won a Stanley Cup in 56 years. They have not won a playoff series since 2004. They're 0-10 in series-clinching games since 2018. No pressure, boys.
There is, and this is not because we're in Toronto and I host a radio show here in Toronto. There is no athlete in North America, in the NHL or the NBA, with more pressure on them than Matthews and Marner. And the reason is they're in their peak. They're incredibly excellent players. They're well compensated. But come the playoffs, their scoring averages plummet. They haven't won a playoff round together. And I went over and looked at, like, say, Joel Embiid or Steph Curry or Jokic or Connor McDavid and looked at every athlete in the playoffs in both sports. No one has more pressure than those 2 guys because they've done 0 playoff series winning. And their contributions has dropped in the playoffs versus what they do in the regular season. There is a lot of pressure. And there's not the same pressure about what happened in 1967. That's not their fault. Or what happened in 2004, or all the years leading up to getting drafted. But the last 5 years, wonderful regular seasons, bad in the postseason.
Do you think the nerves gets the better of this team when it comes? I mean, last year we had a couple chances to clinch this series, and it went to a game 7 and we lost. Where does those nerves come into play? Because, I mean, we watch, the talent's there.
The talent is there, but you're right about the nerves. And what I call it is more of, there's an emotional immaturity with this team. And we see it in the regular season a lot where they would lose to far inferior teams because it just felt like they weren't truly locked in. And yes, there is nerves because these guys are human. Hopefully that's gone now because Matthews and Marner and Nylander, Tavares, they've been there a lot. And they brought in Ryan O'Reilly, who was the best player in the playoffs when the St. Louis Blues won the Stanley Cup. So hopefully just bringing in a guy like that can help to calm everyone down.
And some of the criticism over the years is there's been a little bit of a lack of toughness when it comes to playoff hockey. There's something that changes when a team enters in NHL playoffs. And over the last couple of years, it just seemed like there was not enough toughness on the ice on top of the offensive game.
And Kyle Dubas has changed that over the years. I know we think of Kyle Dubas just as math nerd, analytics guy, but over the last couple of years, he's added toughness to it. Jake McCabe, Luke Schenn, Ryan O'Reilly, Noel Acciari, like these are tough guys. These are guys that are going to finish their checks. We saw that at the end of the year, the win against Tampa in a game that meant nothing for the Maple Leafs, and Tampa tried to goon it up a little bit, and the Maple Leafs pushed back. So This is the most talented Maple Leafs team we've seen since maybe the early 2000s or Doug Gilmour in 1993. If this team doesn't get it done, it's not management's fault, it's not Sheldon Keefe's fault, it won't be Kyle Dubas' fault, it'll be the players.
Matt, we say this is our year, every year.
I know.
And there's enough, we were talking about the tears and the beers every single year. And you said you had a pretty good impression about how you watch the game.
Here is going to be my impersonation watching the game tonight. It's just, I'm going to be standing, and I hope I don't ruin my mic, and my arms are folded really tight, way too high to my chin. I'm just going to be watching like this, standing quietly in my home. It's an incredibly sad image to think of, but that'll probably be me tonight. I don't know if I can watch with people. Part of me thinks I need to just be alone by myself with my thoughts.
Did I put you on the spot and get a prediction for tonight's game?
My head says the Maple Leafs in 6. My heart says Tampa in 7. Toronto should win. They are the better team, but emotionally, I'm a little wrecked inside. So my heart says Lightning in 7. I hope I'm wrong. The head, Leafs in 6.
I hope you're right.
I hope I'm right as well.
Matt Cauz, great to see you, buddy.
Take care.
And by the way, Maple Leaf Square is sold out for Game 1. The area outside the arena will be packed with fans watching the game on the big screen and cheering on the Leafs. Well, the square will open 2 hours before each game, both home and away throughout the playoffs. Visitors must register for passes ahead of time.